Hello everybody. Starting you out inside my house today is something a little bit different. This is where I work from home. It's a computer at the end of the hallway, and I'm going to walk you out in the garden so you get a feel of perspective. Here's Moose. Say hi, buddy. He's a good boy. All right. Let's head on out. I've got this nice Granny Smith apple tree that I'm going to transplant today. It's going to get up in the mid-70s, so it's a perfect day for it. And up here are my potatoes and some worm castings that I'll be using in the garden this year. So let's head on out. Now we've got a pretty cool front door. It was made in the 1930s. A lot of people like that. All right, stay there, buddy. This is the south right in front of us. That's where the garden gets such good sunlight and a lot of southern exposure. We own the side property here, and the garden is at the end of the side yard. So if I use the term side yard, I know it's a strange thing. Most people don't have a side yard, but I do. All right, to the garden. Gorgeous. It's Monday, April 30th, 2018. The high temperature today is supposed to be 72, 73 degrees. So I'm walking barefoot, which is a pretty cool feeling. As we get to the trees, there's really nothing to say. They haven't started to green up yet, except I think the peach tree here in the middle. Yeah, you can see that these, let's see, let me focus here. These are starting to get a little bit green. These buds, they've popped out within the last week or two, and they're starting to green up. So it's coming. It's coming. What is this behind the door? Well, we're going to see in just a moment. Remember all of those things that I wanted to build back in April? Well, since we had the blizzard, that didn't happen. But now that May's here, it's going to happen. So these are garden beds. I will have videos for how I'm building them. Right now they're unlevel and they're unfilled. But over the next couple weeks, that's all going to change. We're going to have beds here, going all the way down with a nice arch over the top of it. And then 4 3-foot wide beds that are 12 feet long over in this area. So lots of interesting build to come. I'll shut the door so we get a cool effect as we leave. As we go on in, a lot of green everywhere. We got weeds that are springing up on the ground, but that's okay because the ground cherries are going to be growing over them. And this year I'm using, what's the word? Arborist mulch. And I'm going to be covering the whole ground with good mulch and putting on top of that probably some cedar mulch that I buy from the store just for aesthetic purposes. But the mulch will be thick. I'm talking like 6 inches thick, and that's going to cover up the weeds, smother them. I'll probably lay newspaper or cardboard underneath them as well, and then the plants will grow in between them, and it'll be all sorts of good stuff. So in the last week, tons of stuff has decided to start coming up. I have too many onion patches to mention. I think later on I'm going to dig this up. I had a viewer named Jean-Luc, I believe, from Maryland who wanted some, so I'm going to do a little exchange, some Egyptian walking onions for some French shallots. I'm pretty excited about that. These look beautiful. Look at they're everywhere. There's a shadow. Yay. There's some onion way the heck out of the place. But I wanted to show you, where did I start seeing them? Oh yeah, so raspberries are coming up everywhere. There's a raspberry coming up. There are raspberries coming up. And as you would expect, they're coming up by the raspberries. You know, it's funny to me. I guess I laughed. So this is what it looks like when a raspberry plant comes up. This right now is probably 3 or 4 inches tall. And you can see the rhubarb is here, and these raspberry plants are over here. So they come up all over the place. When these are probably another week and a half taller, I'll be digging a lot of them up and then transplanting them in between the ones that have already come up along this row after I move the onion over there, transplant it into that area, and then just pull the rest. At this point, I have so many raspberries that I just get rid of them. And this year I'm going to try to sell some of them too. Some of them that grow relatively large. And if I sell them, I just want to put the money in a jar and save it for next year to buy seeds and other things to trellis up the garden. I sold my strawberry planter for $10. That's good. Got rid of that for somebody who wanted it. And as you can see, it's not there. So I'm just making room. Rhubarb, look at this. In 1 week, how much it's grown. We've got, plenty of shoots here. Let's just see how lovely that looks. Isn't that a pretty color? Oh, and it's going to taste so good. Oh, that's a bee. Pollinators hanging out. In 1 week, check out how green the gooseberry has gotten. It's very green. Really exciting content. Then I got weeds coming up over here, which we already talked about. Yeah, I think that's good. Over there, the tiger lilies are now 8 inches, 9 inches tall. I am calling an arborist later today to do stump grinding for this and to help me with this tree right here, which is mostly hollow. I think we can go over and take a look at that today as something different. Again, nothing to show over in the annual section, except, oh, look at this. I've got a copper flower growing. Da, 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 da. This is just something I picked up at the art fair last year. I like those kind of things. Nothing to speak of with the kale, nothing green that's coming up, and I'm leaving it just to see what happens, or at least until I have a garden bed that goes there. Garden beds are all going to be filled with the soil that you see here, and then amended on the top with compost. So I'm essentially just going to be digging out all the walking path. Like the soil to fill these is going to be coming from like right here and right there. Fill it in there once these are leveled off, of course, and then that'll create kind of a hole here, but that'll get filled in with the arborist mulch. But let me back up. Isn't that just pretty to see? It makes me feel so good, this cathartic experience, that I'm finally getting these raised beds in so I can do my chop and drop planting and not have to disturb any sort of fungal growth, the mycelium underneath. So the garden's looking good. Obviously I got to move the fence. I've decided that since I had to push back this box building until May instead of April because of the blizzard, that I'm going to get the boxes done as soon as I can and then do the aesthetic fence because I want to get seeds planted. We're at a good temperature now to get that going. So by the end of this week, I should have, aside from these, all of the middle row done, and then at least one full box, if not two. And I want to do a couple things. Right away, I want to fill these so I can plant a first round of snap peas because those grow really quick. I'm going to do a round of snap peas, probably on both sides, and then also plant my beans and cucumbers, which will grow slower and later. So by the time the snap peas are done, the beans and the cucumbers will be climbing up and growing for later in the season harvest. That's something new for me, planting them in the same spot. And then I'll be able to move the walking onions into a raised bed and then fill in that space with more raspberries and then get the trellis going as well. So lots of work, but the weather is cooperating. We are in 60s and 70s with light rain indefinitely, and our temperatures at night are in the upper 40s and mid 50s. So I'm really, really, really pleased. Oh, and also, this is the Granny Smith apple that died. I get to. That's the word. I get to. It's a privilege. I get to replace that this afternoon. It came from Stark Brothers, the replacement, on Friday. It's a beautiful tree. In fact, I should soak that for a couple hours before I plant it. Made a video on how to plant bare root trees last year, and a video early last week about the replacement program for Stark Brothers Nursery. So if you're thinking about getting trees, I highly recommend it. Speaking of trees, I've got 3 trees up in the front. This is an old centennial oak. That's a chestnut that got struck by lightning. That's got some pretty severe drooping branches, and then 40% of the crown up there is fine. I'm asking a UW Extension arborist if they'll come out and give me a recommendation for either trimming it or cutting it down. And then this tree, which I'm not entirely certain what the variety is. I know this isn't a garden tour, so thanks for bearing with me, but it's awfully hollow. So you can see it's pretty rotted. Like I can stick the phone in there and you can just, check it out. But that's kind of alarming. You can push on it and just see it collapsing. And I don't want the tree just falling down on its own because it's going to fall like this. I don't think it's tall enough to destroy the garden, but it might hit a tree if it's not felled. feln if it's not cut down the right way. So I really do think I want to get somebody professional to come and probably, you know, be up, cut it halfway, have that fall here, and then cut the rest of it and then stump it. So it'd be great if I could get that done for a low cost. Once upon a time I had a tree cut down and the guy I think only charged me $100 or $50 for it, and then he just took all the wood, which was terrific because I didn't want it. So that is your garden tour for the day. That's where the garden exists. I'm gonna walk back. Oh, this is my house, by the way, for those of you who don't often get to see the front of the house. Southern exposure. There's the front of my home. We bought this in 2013, May 24th. So we're coming up to 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 5 full years living here. It's pretty cool. Hey, more about my neighborhood. Why not? Since I got the camera and I've got the time. I have a really cool street that I live on. I love the bike lanes. This street terminates on this end at a university, at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and it terminates on this end at Menominee Park in Oshkosh. So my street starts at a university and ends at the biggest park in the area. It's pretty cool. Down there, you kind of see this. That is the little library that I built in the middle of last month. There's a video for that, of course. So how's your gardening going? What you growing? You trying anything new this year? I know I've talked about my seeds and you're going to see a lot of it in May. So get prepared for a lot of gardening videos from me. This week, I think I'll probably start the potatoes already, which is pretty cool. And I'll get a lot of other things in. Oh, that's my cookies for breakfast. Sorry to show off my dirty pile of stuff. So thanks for watching. Happy gardening. This is a longer and kind of a more eclectic garden tour, but you deserved a change in pace. I've got another video coming out tomorrow that's going to go over my entire plan for designing the garden. So if you're interested in those beds and how they're going to look, be sure to tune in for that. It's already scheduled to go for Tuesday morning, May 1st. Thanks a lot. Like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. And happy gardening.